audio for that? Oh, hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live After Waterhole. It is wonderful to be here with you all. My name is Lee, and I'm looking forward to the show today. Now, remember, everybody, that this is a safe. And I can't believe how the landscape has changed here. My word, it really does look so desolate with the colors and everything. But there's this green patch in the waterhole, which this elephant is loving at the moment. Mercedes, it's wonderful to hear from you. You say greetings, happy Wednesday. Catherine, hello to you as well. And just enjoying the views here at always. And there's always such abundant bird life here around this waterhole as well. Lots of water birds, including grey herons and spoonbills. Annie, yes, absolutely. It is one of the things that amazes me as well to see that grey heron very relaxed there with crocs so close by. This croc looks to be on the move today. Sparse indeed. It is wonderful to see elephants at Tau. It's been a while since I have been to this waterhole with the show, so it's good to see that there's so much life still around the water. And of course, with it being really coming to closer to the end of the dry season, there's a lot of animals that are just attracted to the water. And so it's a wonderful spot to sit or to have a camera like we have here and be able to watch. And that is the tree there that comes to life in the summer with a lot of weavers and them all building their nests. Oh, there's a little family of Ellies and such a small one in the middle. So, Drew, weavers are around all year round, but they don't breed all year. So, the males go out of breeding plumage, and we do sometimes see weavers around. Well, we do see them all through the year. They're just a little bit more difficult to ID because they're not in those beautiful yellow and black colors that we used to seeing them in. But spectacled weavers, actually, I saw one in the dry riverbed at Juma the other day, a few days ago when I was there, and it's still yellow with its black spectacles. But with regards to the village weavers and the southern mast weavers, those actually, even the lesser mast, can, well, they do, the males lose their coloration as we go into winter. So you will see them all year, but they're not as active, and they're not building those nests and chattering away like we used to seeing them do. It looks like that little one has a bit of a kink in its tail, if I'm not mistaken, unless it was just moving it that way. But we just love a baby Ellie, don't we? I think the temperatures at Madikwe must also be rather warm. It is an absolute scorcher of the day in the low veld. It is going to get cooler from tomorrow with a bit of a cold front coming from the Cape. And I assume maybe that will also affect the weather in the coming days around the Madikwe area as well. Jamie, you'd like to know how the heat can affect animals that are active during the day. Um, the heat plays a major role in these animals' lives, and they've adapted to be able to deal with it in different ways. Um, Something like an elephant, of course, comes to the water and tries to cool itself down. Um, if we look at mammals that have self-regulating temperatures, they are endothermic rather than exothermic. They would be looking at trying to cool themselves down, but their body doesn't need heat to function. Whereas something that like a reptile would be looking for the warmth to actually get its body up to temperature so that it can be active. But then there's also, of course, a limit to that where they don't want to overheat, and they would then store that energy, leading into them sometimes even being able to be active during the nighttime. Think of night adders and things like that. So it is also the hotter during, especially in the summertime, we can see that the animals who are generally diurnal, this extends into nocturnal animals as well. Maybe not very strict nocturnal animals if we think of lions and leopards and things like that. They also tend to rest in the heat of the day, just like antelopes and elephants and rhinos and things like that will find a shady spot and just rest, and do as little as possible, because that expends more energy and heats up the body, because a byproduct of burning calories is heat, is one of the it's energy and heat that gets let off in that process. So it only heats up the body more, as when we exercise or we are active, our bodies get warmer, we sweat. Lots of these animals out here don't have that ability to sweat. Like an elephant, for example, has very limited sweat glands and relies on being able to mud bath or go for a swim to cool themselves down. So basically, I would say when it comes to most diurnal daytime active animals, heat will cause them to rest more in the day than in the early hours of the morning and the late evening into the night. They actually might extend their active hours into more of the nighttime when it's cooler, especially if we look at areas that are extreme heat. So deserts and things like that, where the night is actually the best time for even daytime active animals to move around extreme. So that is basically, Jamie, what I can say about that. I hope that answers your question. Speaking of cooling down, it looks like some Ellies have arrived here for a bit of a mud bath. Lauren, you are loving the Ellies. So am I. It's so great to see them mud wallowing and having a great time here at the waterhole. Mindy, they are absolutely having the time of their lives. I mean, to be an elephant, what a life. And this looks like a group of bulls, so a bachelor herd that have come down to the water in comparison to the other ones that were a bit further away earlier with the little baby. You can see that one on the right just resting his trunk on his tusk, and that's quite typical of elephants to do. I think it must be a bit of a relief for them from carrying that weight in one particular way all the time. It looks like there are two common moorhens that are just scratching around there in what's now just a mud puddle. There's not too much water left. Well, from one herd of Ellies to another, let's head over to Juma and see what's come down to the waterhole. Oh, that looks like an excited elephant that's heading for a drink, doesn't it? Look how they lift up their feet, their head goes up and down. They are excited. Well, he is anyway. Lots of birds calling, ringneck doves, go away birds. He might just give himself a flick first, even though he's thirsty, just to cool down behind the ears. Oh, and of course the Egyptian geese, oh my goodness. And a hardy-dar. I feel like that hardy-dar has become a resident at this particular waterhole. I saw it there when I was busy driving at Juma, and there's always this one at that particular spot where that hardy-dar is at the moment. Oh, how good must that water feel on such a hot day. Dark Main Lover, you say you could watch elephants all day? Me too. Oh, there's zebras. Oh, this is wonderful. How nice to see zebras on the dam cam. Very, very cool. Now, there's been a bit of drama lately around this waterhole with two lionesses taking down an Inyala ewe and eating her just, I think, left of where those zebras are in the thickets there. And the lions have been back and forth to the waterhole and drinking, and has been some amazing viewing, I'm sure, for all of you who enjoy watching the dam cam. But I think they've moved off by now since they finished that meal. And you can just sense that maybe those zebras on the left are just cautiously checking. Maybe there's a little bit of a scent of the lion still around. But the elephants don't seem bothered whatsoever. And this one in particular is munching away at this. It looks to be a bush willow or what's left of it. Right, exciting. Let's head over to Naledi and see what's at that waterhole. Ah, I could have guessed. More elephants. Of course, it is just such a warm day. I don't know where everyone is that is watching, possibly from all over the world. But it feels like a sauna in the Lowveld today. You literally walk outside and it is like you've walked into an oven. So I can only imagine why all these animals are heading towards water, particularly elephants. Fuzzy Dunlop, hello. You are watching from England. Now, I know it is summertime, if I'm not mistaken, in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment. So I hope you are lucky enough to have some nice weather in the UK for a change, as I believe it can be quite rainy and cold for most of the year. Lady Macbeth, you're also from England. Of course, with a name like that, I would assume nothing less. But good to have you both here. And it's always interesting for me to hear where we have viewers watching from and joining us and being able to share and connect you all with nature. It's just so wonderful, isn't it? This Ellie on the left needs to start cooling itself down. I'm surprised it hasn't splashed itself just yet with mud. Oh, it has a little bit there behind the head, but not quite gotten to its backside yet. Cabello, it's great to hear from you. You are in Centurion in Gauteng. I believe that is around the Pretoria region. So great to know that there is someone from South Africa watching as well. And I'm sure you can relate to the heat that I'm speaking about. I think it is also quite warm all over the sort of northeastern area, north central eastern area today in South Africa. All right, these Eddies have finished off their time at the waterhole, so we are going to head back over to Juma. Ah, hello there. I thought there was an eagle when that elephant came down to drink. I said, "Ooh, that's a big bird on the ground." But anyway, we were focusing on the elephant going down to drink, so that's okay. But that looks like a tawny eagle, everyone. Straight away, what I notice is the coloration, but then also look how big that bill is, how heavy it is. Almost the same width of its entire front of its face down towards the tip of the beak. Something like a Wahlberg's eagle has a much finer bill, not so heavy, and also a lot of yellow on a tawny eagle's beak there. Very cool to see this. How awesome. And it's been down here for a while. I wonder if it's trying to catch a fish or if it's just cooling down. And we were talking about the heat, how it affects animals and, mammals and in comparison, birds. It also affects them, absolutely. And sometimes we even see them with their mouths open so that they can try and cool themselves down. Um, they, of course, are not exothermic, so they also regulate their own body temperature. But they do get hot, and that's generally why we see more bird activity in the mornings and the late afternoons, and of course, the nocturnal birds coming out at night and being active. But they also need to cool down, and a way that they sometimes do that is having a drink of water and then, of course, resting in the shade. You can actually see this tawny eagle's got its beak open at the moment. There's a gap between the lower and the upper um, halves of the beak. George, hello. You're watching from Iowa in the USA. So good to hear from you. Thanks for joining us. Tracy, you're in Scotland. It's a warm day, but it's cloudy. And you say that you recently spent time in the Kruger Park Lodge and it was amazing. Well, Tracy, that is wonderful to hear. I love to hear people's safari stories, especially those who have been lucky enough to visit South Africa and come and see um, not only the places that we get to show you with African, but just the bush in general. It is a wonderful thing to know that so many of you have actually made the trip out here and have experienced this all for yourselves. All right. Well, from Juma, we are going to head up to Kenya and see what is at the waterhole at Old Daniel. Oh, wow. How cool is this? Oh, fantastic. We were chatting yesterday about giraffes being at these waterholes together, and this is a place that we do actually see that happening quite often. There's a big flock of birds there that have just flown off. I'm not exactly sure what they are. They could have been wattled starlings, though. They do tend to flock like that. Oh, how beautiful is this picture? Goodness me. There's just a feeling you get watching these four boys here, don't you? It's just such a relaxing scene, all four of these giants together. Oh, look how this one on the left curled its trunk over. Looks like they've all decided to trunks on their tusks. That was amazing. I think they, except for the one at the back who's currently resting its trunk on the ground, they all decided to pick up their trunks, all taking a moment. They might be talking to each other, we don't know. next one on the left almost looks like it's holding its own trunk. I don't know, it looks very funny. Oh my word, I think a dove landed on that elephant's back. Or was that just me? That's, I don't know, it was the one on the right. Maybe it tried to land and then flew off again. I could listen to those sounds all day. And it looks like both the elephant on the left as well as on the right have a chunk out of their ears. I definitely think I've seen a few of these boys here before. The one that's got its sort of back to us now has one, I think it's that one that has a much shorter left tusk than its right tusk. Is this elephant just blowing out air that's making that noise? Or is there something else that might just actually be the speaker of the camera? Sounds like some serious heavy breathing. Unless there's something right next to the camera that we just can't see. Tadiwa is directing the show today, and she says that maybe one of the elephants have very bad sinus. I mean, it's possible. I don't know what sized nose spray an elephant would need, though, to sort out that problem. Goodness me. I think that elephant at the back's having a proper snooze. His trunk's on the floor. He hasn't moved a muscle. He's sort of zoned out completely. I do find sometimes these elephants sort of feel the rocks or the ground there, like the one in the middle is using the tip of its trunk. It's not actually drinking. It's just sort of feeling around on the base of the waterhole. Looks like slowly they're starting to wake up and move off again. There were some giraffes here earlier. I don't know, they've obviously moved off as well. But yesterday we had the fringe-eared oryx as well as the eland here and zebras. So maybe they'll sorry, maybe we'll still see them coming a little bit later on at Eldonio. It is quite overcast today. You can see those clouds have built up since yesterday. Anime. So, East Africa is in its dry season at the moment, and the rains will come again around October, November time. All the way, there's sort of two rainy seasons, long and short, and then it carries on all the way till about May, that they can expect some sort of rain falling. And then how that affects the elephants? Well, it does mean that they don't have to travel so far for water. I do believe this particular pan here at Oldonyo is pumped, so water is provided to the elephants throughout the year. Of course, when it rains, it's not necessary to pump it with water. But basically, what it means is that sometimes we start to see potentially fewer elephants coming to drink because they can get water throughout the reserve. Lots of the other natural pans and smaller water bodies fill up in the summer months. And basically, that's what it means for the elephants. There's also a lot more food for them around, so they don't have to travel such great distances in order to get enough nutrition in. And yeah, I think for them, it's a wonderful time when the rains do come. And you can see slightly on the backs of these elephants that there's a bit of a redness to them. Oh, there's the giraffe. I saw the sand blowing in the background. I thought, oh, maybe there's an elephant dust bathing, but it was a giraffe walking. You can see that sort of red dust come up into the air. And that is what made me notice the coloration on the backs of these elephants, particularly the one in the middle. You can see that difference in coloration, obviously having thrown some of this redder sand on his back. There's a giraffe peering over the back of that elephant. I think we may see it come and drink as well. Oh, well, they do seem to be moving off. Oh, there's an impala as well moving in the background. So maybe with them heading off, we might see a few other species now coming towards the water. Ah, there we go. Some zebras. I was hoping they'd make an appearance. Bill, thank you so much. That's good to know. I was wondering what what they're doing there, and I think one is there again at that particular spot where that water pipe is. And yes, that is obviously where that fresh water comes into. So they're wanting to get the very, very fresh stuff from there. But thank you, Bill. That's really good to know. Yeah, Nona or Nona. I think the nighttime activity here at Oldonyo can be awesome. I think there's a striped hyena that we sometimes see here with the nighttime footage. There is infrared, and it's very cool to actually see sometimes what goes on here. At night, some of the rarer things, I think we've seen white-tailed mongoose, we've seen lion and buffalo, um, striped hyena. So there really can be some cool stuff happening here under the cover of darkness as well. Ah, immediately as that elephant moved off, so this giraffe comes forward. And sometimes we do see them here together. We saw it earlier, and yesterday we were chatting about, how common it really is to see giraffes with elephant at a waterhole, and it's not extremely common. I think, yeah, because of this particular spot and how regularly the elephants are around. If the giraffes want water, they've had to gotten used to the ellies being around, but you can still see their preference is just to wait it out and then come forward when the others have left. Oh, I think he's going to go down for another drink. We were talking about this the other day, actually, about giraffe drinking being an Olympic sport. It really is an art. I think they could be judged for the best technique. Oh, this one bends its knees, almost goes onto a bit of a tippy toe. It's looking over its shoulder. I know that there were the zebras that moved off as well as the elephants, but it could also be another giraffe that it's paying attention to. And this one has quite odd shaped ossicones. The one is a little bit longer than the other, which is not totally uncommon. Are you finished, sir? Making his way off. And all is quiet. Surprised they're not even birds that are coming about. I mean, when we first came here, there was that massive flock of birds, and I haven't seen a superb starling back here yet either. Crossing fingers that it'll make an appearance in the next few days while I'm still on the show. All right, let's head over to Qatar for another bit of elephant energy. And of course, there are more elephants cooling down today here at Katapan in Oliphant's West Game Reserve, part of the Greater Kruger National Park. Sometimes these elephants have such fun with their trunks as well, squirting out the water. Often, when they're actually finished drinking and they sort of have had their fill, then they start like spraying it or letting it drip out their trunks. They get a little bit lazy. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Looks like we've lost the lady's feed, but that's okay. We've hopped back over to Aldonia where a different giraffe has come towards the waterhole. It also looks like a young male. His ossicones almost look too big for his head, so he still needs to grow into them a little bit. But still a beautiful giraffe. And what beautiful markings he has. Wow. Very defined lines and very sort of solid shapes. Ah, hello there. Second giraffe making an appearance. Well, isn't this just beautiful? Oh my word. The colors of these giraffes against the sort of gray background and distant sort of bluish sky and a bit of green. Oh, it is stunning, isn't it? Ah, some sunshine coming through now, just catching this giraffe as it turns away. Has a rather large lump on its head, unless that's an oxpecker. Could very well be a bird that's sitting just on top of its head. Otherwise, it could just be the growth. They do tend to have these calcifications on their foreheads. Yeah, I think that is just actually a growth on top of that giraffe's head. All right, well, why don't we head over and see what is at Victoria Falls at that waterhole? Ah, lovely to visit here again. There's a croc that's moving there, as well as a whole bunch of marabou stalks. Also very dry here at the moment, but it's a wonderful thing to see the water hole still here with water in it. And there goes the crocodile slowly moving towards the far end. Oh, I was wondering what that interaction was between the stalks there. Didn't look like anything too serious. I wonder if they're both looking for something under that rock. For the most part, marabou storks scavenge, so they will eat from carcasses and things like that. But they are also known to hunt, and if there's an opportunity, something like a fish. So I'm not sure if maybe they're looking for an opportunity there. Oh, this bird on the left is very red. I wonder if that's from a carcass or if it's just something that's happened to its feathers, maybe some ground. Did it sort of rub its chest into the dirt? I'm not sure. Lady Macbeth, yes. What a lot of marabous. Absolutely. Looks like, I think, is that another stork in the background or an egret? A big white bird, maybe a great egret there. Mindy Palmer, you want to know if birds sweat? So I believe they don't have sweat glands either, and they also use different methods such as panting, for example, to help themselves keep cool. Those are Egyptian geese there. I was just checking if any of those logs were something like a crocodile or a monitor lizard or something. They looked very interesting, but I think they are just logs. Looks like, is that a jacana in the background? I'm not sure. It's a bit far off, but it does look sort of brown with a whitish head. It looks like some guinea fowl there in the shade. You can see them using the shade now at a very hot time of the day. Oh yes, it does look like a jacana. Oh wow, there's a bushback. That is so cool. I didn't expect to see a bushback. Wow, it's quite spotty as well. Very similar to what many of you may know as a flare in size and shape. But of course, the nyalas having the very prominent white stripes down the side. Oh, there are a little bit of striping there, or am I imagining it? But it still looks, even if it does have the stripes, a little bit of a faint stripe there. It's more of a bushback, I would say. They are all very much in the same group of antelopes and nyala, bushbacks and kudus. And I think what it's licking could be a salt lick. I know sometimes that is provided to help just supplement the sodium um, in the diet of animals in some reserves. beautiful. This egret is on the move now. Very quickly. Maybe it spotted a fish. Oh, it's slowing down now. I think that crocodile is just there to the right. Did see some movement coming there. Very interesting. It's fascinating to watch sometimes these large water birds and the way that they hunt in the water. And I always think to myself, what made that egret decide it was time to move to this side of the waterhole? Oh, decided it needed to fly a bit. Didn't seem too serious about flying, to be honest. There's a blacksmith lapwing there as well, the usual resident around waterholes. Oh, something's opening its wings. Maybe it's one of the stalks, actually, one of the marabou stalks. And birds will also, that's another method they use to cool down. Yeah, I like that. Just getting that, of course, with the wings closed, they're holding a lot of that body heat in. Whereas if they can lift up their wings like that, it can cool down, give some airflow to underneath the wing. Moira, you want to know if birds have blood flow in their beaks? They most certainly do. In fact, that beak is full of blood vessels and nerve endings. I think there are parts sort of maybe towards the tip of the beak or very close to where they use it, especially some of the larger birds with very big beaks that crack things open and sort of work a lot with their beak. That could be chips of keratin that come off, that may not affect them too much, but definitely towards, especially the closer you get to the face. I mean, if you think about the bottom, there's a large part that is connected to the skin as well. that is definitely connected to blood flow. A lot of birds actually have their nasal cavities in the top of the beak as well. And so beak injuries can be extremely painful and also cause significant blood loss if that does happen. It's something that's difficult to imagine, I suppose, because it's a beak and it sort of looks like it wouldn't feel anything, but it is in fact an extension very much of the bird itself, making up the majority of the head in a lot of cases, especially something like a marabou stork. But it's an extension of the basically the body of the bird. Um, Much like if we think of horns on an antelope, there's often the question of, oh, well, can they feel anything? And yes, there's bone; those horns are bone, and so there's definite feeling in there, and it's an extension of the body itself. Well, it was cool to see that hooded vulture just seeking some shade there under the bush. Um, I think we are going to see if we can head over to Tembe for some elephants that are at that waterhole. Well, this is always such a beautiful spot, isn't it? Lovely to see these ellies around. Some also some impalas in the background. A bit of a breeze there today. Look how these trees are moving. You can see this elephant's found some shade now, slowly flapping its ears, but also just taking a chance to rest. And what tells me often if an elephant is truly having a rest or semi sleep is that trunk that is fully relaxed and on the ground. When they do that, they're sort of zoning out a little bit. They're not concentrating on holding up that trunk at all. Oh, well, he's moving now, but maybe he's been there for a while already. Or perhaps a fly went up his nose. Who knows what was bothering him, or maybe something in his ear or by his eye that he decided he needed to shake his head. And the one thing I really love about Tembe is that we always have such beautiful birds in the background. Sounds like maybe dark-capped bulbuls calling, some little pretty tweety birds. And we often also hear the emerald spotted wood doves calling at this particular spot. This young impala has found some green grass. I'm sure it's really enjoying that. You can see how it's nibbling away there. These would be the youngsters from last year, heading for about a year, almost a year old, maybe 8 months or so. The males that were born in the lambing season of sort of the end of last year towards the very beginning of this year. Hi, Carmen. You are wondering if duikers are an endangered species. Now, for those of you who may not know, a duiker is, or a duiker is a small species of antelope that we find, well, in South Africa, but all over Africa. Um, and there's a few different species of them, I think potentially all over the world actually, but the ones that we are particularly familiar with would be something like the common or grey duiker, and apparently that is of least concern in South Africa. Then you've got the smallest of the one of the smallest duikers, the blue duiker, that's found particularly in the area of the Eastern Cape of South Africa. I believe that is also um, a least concern. And they are very cute, actually, if anyone has ever seen a blue duiker. Um, and then there's also the Natal red duiker, which is one that you could actually see here at Tembe, if I'm not mistaken. It's definitely in this northern part of KwaZulu Natal. I've seen them there before, and that's also least concern. So I think, in general, the duikers that we come across most often within this particular area wouldn't be endangered or threatened, but there are some that are endangered or vulnerable, according to the IUCN website, which is the sort of the international body that monitors species and gives them their sort of listing on how endangered they are, from least concern all the way to critically endangered or extinct, basically. So, yes, at the moment, the ones that we find in this region would not be seen as endangered. Oh, wow, there's some hardy-dars as well, looking for some scrumptious things there in the grass, maybe some worms. One of a hardy-dar's favorite snacks that I've seen in town in people's backyards are earthworms. They really enjoy earthworms, especially when it's just rained. And it's really, the wind's really picking up here at Tembe. I can't believe how windy it actually is. Oh, there's a grey heron as well on the far bank. Okay, it has been awesome here at Tembe, but we are going to head back over to Tau and catch up with what's happening at that waterhole. Oh, wow, lots of life has appeared. There are some impalas, they're the wildebeest and zebras here, all possibly making their way towards the water, I think. There are ellies as well, and just closest to us, there's a very dark, is that a bird? A dark bird in this patch of green. I don't know if it's just got its wing out that's making it look particularly large. There's the grey heron. Can hear the first note of a chin spot batis calling as well. And in winter, they tend to not give their full call because it isn't quite breeding season yet, and because there's less food around as well, that they tend to conserve their energy, and we tend to hear half calls or part calls of birds. This heron almost looks, I was just about to say like a statue, but then it moved its head. And I really love that sort of ponytail that it's got at the back of its head. There's extra feathers that hang down. I've never seen them do anything with those feathers, I must say. They normally just sort of hang there at the back of their head. Oh, it looks like it's hunting now. Maybe it's going to grab something. Oh, it really looks like it means business. Oh, did it get something? It does have something in its beak, I think. That was very small. Wow, did you see how it almost like spring-loaded its neck by pulling it back and then launched itself into the water there? Oh, there's an ellie that's come to the water. Looks like his legs are a bit all over the show. Very muddy there. And I don't think at that size he would risk actually getting stuck in that mud. He's got enough strength to be able to get himself out. These are some of the yellowest zebra that I have ever seen. It's definitely just from rolling in the dirt but they could pass for potential new subspecies. Wow, quite strong winds there, bringing through a whole bunch of dust, almost affecting the entire view of the camera. Oh, there's that large bird. It is a spur-winged goose. I was wondering if it was one because I think it was sitting down earlier and I just sort of saw this big black blob. I thought, oh, that's a big bird. But a spur-winged goose is the largest goose that we get out here, much larger than an Egyptian goose. Mindy, you won't believe it, but it does. The land here does turn green, or green up, as you say. The hills turn green. There's even grass right where we were panning over just now. That looks so desolate, like nothing could ever grow. It does after some significant rains in the summertime. That area does turn green, and it actually looks quite lush. The trees are all green, and the entire landscape here at Madikwe changes completely in terms of view and coloration. It just completely changes, and you won't believe it in the coming months if you keep watching and almost take a screenshot now, and then maybe December, possibly January, February next year, you take another screenshot. You will not believe the difference that you'll be able to see in a few months' time. Okay, cool. We are going to head up to Kenya to finish off the show. Oh, nice. We have a troop of baboons that have come through to drink. Yeah. Oh, there's a baby on the back of one of them. Aren't they just endlessly entertaining? Oh, I love it. Sometimes they do ride on the belly, and that's usually when they are a bit younger and still suckling. They'll hang on. Oh, there's actually one on the belly of that one, hanging on to mom's belly where they can easily access the teat and drink from underneath. But as they get older, um, probably 3 months plus or so, then they can start riding on the back, like we can just see there coming past the screen, which is very cute indeed. Well, I can't believe we have come to the end of the Waterhole show today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and sending through all your comments. And we really appreciate it. And I'm so glad we're finishing off with this beautiful troop of baboons here in Kenya. Remember that straight after this will be the On Safari show and broadcast from Juma before heading into your sunset safari. That will be also coming up live at 3:30 p.m. We'll be back with the show tomorrow, so please make sure that you join us again here at the Waterhole. I will be back with you, and I'm already looking forward to it. So, from myself and the team, we wish you a pleasant day or evening ahead, depending where you are in the world, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Well, a very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us once again for our highlight show coming directly here from Juma Private Game Reserve